Hi, I'm Maya, and today I want to talk about Funny Story by Emily Henry. I loved this book, and I'm so happy that it was good because I kind of had a bad taste in my mouth left over from when I read Emily Henry's last book, Happy Place. It was not what I was expecting. I don't think it lived up to her standard. I just personally didn't really vibe with it. And so I was worried going into this book that it was going to be the same thing, that I wasn't going to like it as much as I liked all her other books. But I was pleasantly surprised, and I feel like Emily Henry is back. This is the real Emily Henry. I'm so happy about that. So it's a really fun premise. The main characters are Daphne and Miles, and they are each separately engaged to other people, but those people break up with Daphne and Miles and then get engaged themselves, which is pretty nuts. And so then Daphne and Miles have been dumped and they decide to move in together. Basically, they're just miserable and sad. They just comfort each other through this hard time, but then they get invited to their ex's wedding. They decide to RSVP and say that they're going together as a couple. So it's fake dating, which is just a beautiful trope, and Emily Henry does it really well. So I wanted to point out that as I was reading this book, Miles reminded me so much of Nick Miller from New Girl, one of the greatest male characters of all time. As soon as I started noticing those similarities, I just knew I was hooked. I knew that this was going to be one of my favorite Emily Henry books ever. The similarities between Miles and Nick Miller are they're both brunette, bearded, sad, bartenders, roommates with their love interest, kind of have substance abuse issues. Yeah, Miles is very endearing, very sweet, and Daphne is very relatable. And I love the two of them together. They're so good for each other. Just balance each other and complement each other. And one thing I especially loved about this story is that the exes, Daphne's ex Peter and Miles's ex Petra, are just straight up villains. And I love that. I hate when authors try to make the ex-boyfriend or the ex-girlfriend likable or understandable or anything like that. I love that Emily Henry let us hate them, let them be just the worst. And it was very freeing, very cathartic to just have a character that I could like channel all of my anger and frustration onto. And they just repeatedly are doing awful things to Daphne and Miles and just proving that it's good that they broke up and that they're no longer with them. Bottom line is sometimes it's just fun to hate people. So another fun thing about Daphne is that she is a librarian and she loves books. She loves helping ignite a love of reading in children, and she's just the best. So I loved all of that library stuff, all of the different events she was planning at her library, and the way that she connected with different kids, and just her own love story with books, and how that came from having a deadbeat dad and wishing things were different and using books as escapism. And I love all of her cute librarian co-workers and just that whole little gang. They're so adorable. Speaking of the deadbeat dad, I'm so proud of Daphne for standing up to him. That was something that I didn't know if we were gonna get or not. I didn't know if we were just gonna have to accept that things were the way they were. Instead, I'm glad that we got to watch Daphne stand up for herself, come into her own, and tell her dad off over the phone and really bare her soul to him and tell him all the damage that he did to her. And that just felt like a yes moment, like vindication, and just a really good moment of growth for our main character. Because for so long she would just stand things down, not talk about them, but now she's ready to be open and honest and to demand what she deserves. I absolutely loved the setting. It is the most quaint, cute little town. I loved learning more about all of the different places. Miles takes Daphne to all of his favorite local spots, and she gets to learn more about the town. And the town itself is like its own character. It's really fun to explore it. I think one of my favorite spots they go to is the bar that's in a barn, and so it's called Barn, like B-A-R capitalized with the lowercase n. So cute and fun, and that's a fun scene when they go there together. And Emily Henry is just so good at descriptions because the whole time reading, I just felt like I was there. I felt like I was at these places. I felt like I was seeing the sights, smelling the smells, tasting the food, hearing the music, and just enjoying the ambiance. It was a really fun, cool experience. It really felt like I was in this town. Now I want to visit for real. So there were 2 parts that made me cry, like just sob. And the first one was when there's this whole big long paragraph where Daphne describes what makes a house a home, like what turns just an ordinary house into a beautiful home full of wonderful memories and love. It was just like, oh, it was so sweet and so true. Just made me grateful for my home growing up and the one that I currently have with my husband and the one that we're creating for our daughter. Also just made me wish that everyone could have that, a place of love and warmth and light. Everyone deserves that. And so yeah, I was just like, oh, crying reading that. And then the second part that made me cry was when Daphne and Miles confess their love to each other and tell each other that they are worthy of love. Because that's a huge theme in this book, is worthiness and what you deserve and what you've earned. And none of that applies to love. You just get it. You don't have to earn it, deserve it. It's just given freely. And both Daphne and Miles are so damaged and have been told either directly, like point blank, or indirectly through the actions and intentions of others. They have both been led to believe that they are unworthy and that they don't deserve to be happy. And so it's so beautiful to watch them tell each other that that is just incorrect and that they love each other. Not something they had to earn, it's just there. It's just a beautiful, beautiful moment. So yeah, I was just crying. Emily Henry's so good. She's so amazing with emotion and dialogue and inner monologue. The feelings of the characters and the way that they express their feelings to each other, she's just spot on. It's very realistic, very moving, and just very well done. So my one complaint about the book is that I wish there was an epilogue where we saw Daphne and Miles married with children, because they both said that they wanted that, and so I want to see that. And you know, the ending is very satisfying. It's very nice. They have a housewarming party. They've moved in together, and it's clear that like that's where it's heading. Like they're gonna be in love forever, and they're gonna get married and have babies. But I just would like to see it. And I thought that was unique for an Emily Henry book, because I think in all her other books, I don't remember any of the other couples saying that they wanted to have kids. I think a lot of them were just content to just be a couple, but that having children is something that both Miles and Daphne discussed, and so I wanted to see them have that and do that. But you know, that's okay. I can imagine it in my head. Overall, a fantastic book. I had such an amazing time reading it. I loved it. I wish I could just live in it and just read it over and over again. It's wonderful. Can't wait for her next one. She's just amazing. Love Emily Henry. Love funny story. Thank you so much for watching.